Hello and welcome, I'm Tafra Gadamu. As a young man, he joined the Ethiopian People's Revolutionary Army, an insurgent movement back in the 1970s. He fought in several battles, and when all didn't end well, he left the country as a refugee, first to Sudan and later to the United States, where he ended up being a pharmacist. A few years ago, Kahsay Abraha put together his story in a book that provided a fresh angle for understanding that time period in Ethiopian history, all in the eyes of an ordinary rebel, a story that may still be relevant. A very warm welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
So, how old were you when you joined the rebel movement?
I was 17 years old.
Quite young, right?
Absolutely.
And why did you join that movement?
Elementary school, I was in Zalambasa, but high school, I was in Adigrat from 7th.
Zalambasa is the border town between Ethiopia and Eritrea.
And then Adigrat is 35 kilometers far from Zalambasa, and then there was no high school in Zalambasa. Therefore, I have to go to Adigrat. So Adigrat High School was one of the vocal student movement in Tigray. So those movements were based on reforms against feudalism, against national oppression, national question, and class struggles. And then as a young boy, I grew up with my father, and my father is a farmer. So I have seen my father, when he was suffering by the court. I have seen him giving a bribe to a judge.
Justice was not being served.
Yes.
So that's why.
Absolutely.
So you joined the Ethiopian People's Revolutionary Army, right?
Yes.
That's the armored wing of the Ethiopian People's Revolutionary Party, which was basically operating out of Addis Ababa.
Yes.
So when you joined that movement, it was when? 1978?
In Ethiopian calendar, in 1968.
68.
Yeah.
That would be 76.
76.
Yeah. So you joined the movement in 1976.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you were given the nom de guerre, Emmanuel.
Yes.
So you were operating as an army in Asimba district, right?
Yes. Asimba was the base area, and then from there we go to Wollo, we go to Gondar.
How many were, when you joined them, how many of you were there as rebels?
Well, I really don't know. I cannot say how many in figures, but thousands.
In thousands?
Thousands.
So they came from all over Ethiopia, correct?
Yes, from all over Ethiopia and also from Eritrea. There was our members, comrades from Eritrea, and their title was from rank and file up to commander. Ideologically, if we are the same, it doesn't matter which country you came, which nation you came, or which region you came, it doesn't matter. So
you fought battles, right? I mean, you participated in numerous battles, right?
Yes.
And you were in near-death situations as well.
Absolutely. And I have seen very, very brave comrades losing their life. I buried a lot of them. And it's very hectic to remember all those brilliant comrades. And that is one of the worst scenario of the history of the organization.
So reading your book, the Asimba Fikr, love of Asimba
in English, yeah.
Love of the insurgent movement, is that what it is? Love of the place, what is it?
Okay, it's a combination of three. Number one is love of the people, the Ethiopian people. When I say the Ethiopian people, the poor people. Second, love of the place. If you have been in some places with a specific situations, you always remember those places also. And also love of my comrades. Those comrades, they were all from all parts of Ethiopia.
But there is also something personal here. That was where you had your first love.
Absolutely.
Is that something that you regret? Because we're going to talk about how you left the field to Sudan and then later to the United States. But do you regret the time you met your first love?
Dilla, yeah.
Her name is Dilla.
Dilla, yeah.
And her actual name is actually...
Samañ Manale.
Because in the book you write that she told you whenever you make a decision of some sort, please let me know. She felt that you probably were planning to leave the field, leave the country. So do you regret having known her? Because we let her know that she died after you've left, right?
Yeah, okay. The situation is, yes, she told me, if you make any decisions, please let me know. Do not make any decisions without consulting me, she has told me. But when I decided to leave, we were in a separate division. I know she was wounded, her foot, and I know she was okay. And then I really, number one, there was no communication. Number two, the ultimate goal of mine or where I will be is indefinite. We don't know. We might fight each other on the way. I might die. I could kill somebody, or I can be killed, or something like that. So I didn't want to put her in that kind of danger. I already put myself in a danger. When I was leaving from Asimba to Eritrea, we have to travel the whole night, 3 of us. So in between, if something happens, we have to fight. Because there was our comrades in some places. There was the military of the TPLF divisions in that area also. So in case if somebody stops us on the way, we have to fight. Maybe we can make it to Eritrea, or we may not make it to Eritrea.
You were left. You were on your own, basically.
Exactly. I didn't want her to be on this kind of very risky journey.
And your party in the field was in trouble already, and that's why you left them, right?
Absolutely.
The split and so on.
Yeah, there was, number one, there was a split, and then that was one of the main problem for the party to be dissolved. And second, at that time, the commanders, the real commanders, I mean, not the commanders who know the organization, who know the area, and also who were very experienced commanders, they were not in that area.
So you're basically in disarray.
Absolutely, absolutely. So there was no centralism, there was no central command who can organize the war at that time. So that was the reason I left with my 2 comrades. After 3 days, the entire organization also left Asimba, and then they asked a refugee in Eritrea.
That would have been in
1970 in Ethiopian calendar. I think it is in 1978. That was in March.
How many of you crossed the Sudan?
75 of us.
75 of you.
75 of us.
So how many? And in Sudan, you were basically a refugee for how long?
I was a refugee for 2 years.
2 years.
For 2 years. And then after 2 years, I was able to resettle to the United States.
Reading your book, this is not a book written by some big politician who's been leading that institution, that party, writing and talking about it, and we have plenty of those.
Mm-hmm.
You never had any position in the army back in the field. You were basically an ordinary fighter, but you saw everything. So that's a very interesting perspective.
Very unique also, because such kind of history, I think most of the people, they were expecting from the commanders, from the scholars. But Amaniel was not a commander. Amaniel was not a scholar. Amaniel left school from 10th grade. I finished 10th grade, and then I was supposed to register 11th grade, and then I left to Asimba. Yes, so having said that, most of the time I spend with the commanders around them, patrolling or security or something like that. Say, for example, at the end, I had a unit to to secure them, giving them, security at that time, because there was a division in between us.
You were their security detail. I mean, you were their guard, basically.
Yeah, so the base. I mean, they were stationed in one village, and then I was securing that village. And then, I had a good communication with them, starting from the beginning when I was in training also. And then also I had to go to Wollo. Our mission was failed, but most of them, they lost their lives, and some of us, we returned back.
You alone in a bus?
Yes, with so many difficulties. And then I always thank my savior, Yimar Nuguse, the farmer from Wollo. And also, after a year also, the same incidents, we had to go to Balasa. And then the same situation happened. And then again, I was, I managed to come back again to Asimba. So on all the situations, Emmanuel was there. And also in Tigray, in most of the operations, Emmanuel was there. So when I write the book, I have to write everything that I went through, anything that I touched, anything that I traveled with, anything that I communicated with the people, starting from the rank and file up to the highest commanders. So that was the combination that makes the book a full documentation of the history of the army in Asimba. I was trained with the first batch.
Yeah.
And then I left the organization 3 days before the army left to Eritrea. So the book, the history of the book is the history of the army in Asimba. That was
the entire story of the army, told from an ordinary fighter.
Yes.
Undiluted, pretty much straight, plain storytelling.
Absolutely.
So you joined the army when it was established. And you left
12 people.
12 people.
Yes.
And you left the army 3 days before it dissolved.
Exactly.
And went, the remains of whom left for Eritrea.
Yes. They were
basically 18. Seeking refuge.
Yeah. They were 18 when they come to Asimba from Eritrea. They were 18. And then 6 of them, they left them. They, they went to the Derg.
Right.
And then they left only 12. So I arrived when they were only 12.
Your book is being quoted by scholars. I've read that, right?
Yes.
Because that's first-hand information that you have, that you gathered.
Yes, they always tell me, if we need the story of Asimba, we always make a reference.
My reference to your book. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And then also they tells me if they want a reference of the parties' struggle in the town, they always make a reference for Tower in the Sky.
Oh, Tower in the Sky, yes.
Yeah, by Hiwat Tafarra.
So did you keep a diary or something when you were there?
No, I was rank and file. And then after that, I had a little, title, deputy. And then also I was promoted to higher than that when I was assigned to Gondar, but I didn't go at that time. So I didn't have no notebook. Only the commissars has a notebook.
So you wrote this from memory?
Only from my memory.
Memories can be faulty at times.
Absolutely.
But did you grab the...
Yeah, but everything that I remember, I put it on the book. And so far, no one has challenged me.
Dates, you're specific about dates.
Yes.
About locations, people's names and so on.
What I did was...
That was 30-something years, 35 years after the...
What I did was, Mr. Tafarra, what I did was when I arrived in the Sudan, I bought a notebook. And then I put those important dates on that notebook. And I don't have to forget, I was not planning to write at that time or something like that, but in case for a reference, I put those important dates. Chronologically, I put those, and then it helped me at the end when I decided to write the book.
So what does this tell you? What does the story of your life in Asimba tell you? Was that a story of hope? You're hopeful and you're your hopes were dashed at some point because that's why you left?
It is not only the story of mine. It is the story of any Ethiopian young man at that time. They had to go through the revolution.
Yeah, but now sitting here and now, what do you think about that time period back in the 1970s?
It tells me how much we were devoted for the struggle, how much we were devoted for the people, for their independence, for their rights, and then for their privileges. When I say the people, the underdeserved people, the poor people. That's what our reference is, because our struggle was a class struggle. And I will never regret for what I have been participated at that time during my young age.
You joined the organization and you fought your way.
Yes. Only I was doing whatever I was told to do by my commanders and by my commissars.
Do you think that your story is relevant today?
Absolutely. History is always history. You know, it could be a bad history, but it could be a good history. But history is always history. Whether it's good or whether it's bad, it has to pass to the generation. So the generation can learn from that history.
What do you think we have learned? My question is, you were fighting then 40 years ago.
Yeah.
War. The same story now as we speak.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a cycle. It's coming, the history is repeating itself. Of course, there is clashes, there is arguments, there is war, there is civil war against each other. I know that. It is very, very, very sad to see that. But that is the human life, and it is a cycle. Hopefully one day this will be corrected.
So in the U.S., you trained as a pharmacist, and you work for one of the big chains, right?
Yeah, I went to school because during the struggle, I know one of the problems I had, or something that I was supposed to accomplish, was my education. And then I was very interested to go to school, and then I managed to go to the School of Pharmacy. And I graduated in 1995, and since then I'm still working as a manager for the Kroger Pharmacy.
Any plans to, I know that is being translated into English, your book, so any plans of turning it to something else, I don't know, film and so on?
Yeah, there was a plan to develop it to a film, and then it has already translated in English and in Amharic. It's written already, and then Professor Haile Garima has approved it 4 years ago.
Meaning he wants to do it, or
no, he wants to. He doesn't want to do it.
Helping you.
Yeah. So we have two versions so far, and then but the problem is because the situation now in the northern part of Ethiopia, it has been difficult, and then we have to postpone it, because if we do the film,
it has to be there where it was.
Yeah, it has to go to Asimba, it has to go to Woldia, it has to go to Ras Dashen, it has to go to Belasa. All those remarkable places. You cannot change it. Right. You cannot do somewhere else except in those places.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that, and thank you very much, Kahsay Abraha. It was a pleasure having you in my show.
Thank you very much for understanding and for giving me the opportunity.
Before we go, here is a twist to the Meet ETV package tonight. Some 23 years ago, while on a trip to the United States, I met a sturdy young man at the very heart of Washington, D.C., where he came as a refugee. But unlike our guest tonight, Birhanu Kifle rather flew straight to America, made a few false starts before he settled for this. Birhanu generously allowed me to film his daily routine, which I thought is worth sharing. Birhanu is not your average vendor.
How you doing? How are you? I'm going to make him rich, this guy here. Donatoch.
That's how he starts his day, vending coffee, donuts. That goes on into the afternoon with more to offer.
There's hot dog, half smoke, sausage, popcorn. እንደዚህ አይነቶች የመሳሰሉት ያው የምታዩቸው ነገሮች ናቸው የሚሸጡት። ስሜ ብርሃኑ ክፍሌ እባላለሁ። አሁን 11 ዓመቴ ነው እዚህ ሀገር ከመጣሁ።
I came here 11 years ago, says Birhanu Kifle, to the Washington, D.C. region here in America.
Karta.
But he quickly corrects it.
22 ዓመቴ ነው።
22 years ago, he claims. Right after he got here, Birhanu tried many odd jobs. He even started going to school, but never made it. Ethiopians who came here before and after him have made their presence felt. Many became successful in their own ways. Not a few went into the food business. Zed's was one of the leading Ethiopian restaurants in the Georgetown area of Washington, D.C. But all those ventures were beyond his means. They were too big to start with. And this came along.
How long have you been in the business?
In the business, I've been almost 15 years.
It was no easy start, though. A mobile food truck like this one required money.
It is very, very expensive now, right, to own this type of a business?
Oh yeah, it's not easy really. It costs, I'm not going to tell you that what's the value, but it's kind of expensive.
More so, particularly for someone toiling to get started. This mobile food trail would cost 10 to 17,000 US dollars. There are additional costs, including the vendor fee, application fee, health department permit fee, fire prevention permit fee, and most importantly, the business license, which may take years to secure. When it arrives, that also comes along with a fee.
I used to own it actually about 3-4 years ago. Like 3 of them, this kind of business. I used to own it. But the governments just, they didn't give you any more licenses.
Birhanu was therefore forced to start at the very bottom.
መጀመሪያ ተቀጥሬ ስራ
I was hired in the beginning, he says, and finally I managed to be on my own.
መጨረሻው ይህን ቢዝነስ ለመፍጠር ቻልኩ።
This was a location he chose when he went on his own, a hub for many big government institutions.
HHS, Voice of America, and the Food and Drug Administration. የኛው ቢልዲንግ ነው ታችኛው።
The Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, that Birhanu mentioned, for instance, hires more than 80,000 employees across the country and beyond. And you can guess how many of those in their building here would visit his stall on a daily basis.
ኔክስቱም ደግሞ ትንሽ ሰዎች አሉኝ ቀጥሎ ያለው ቢልዲንግ
And I have some customers from over there. The building next, says Birhanu, referring to the scores of government institutions nearby.
እና መጀመሪያ በአካባቢው
I was the only one in the neighborhood.
ብቻ ነኝ የነበርኩትና
He serves his diligence, and they don't go anywhere else. Well, partly because of this too.
Can I get 2 hot dogs?
What do you like on it?
The hot dog is arguably the best known American staple in the fast food department.
Okay,
My name is Ed, and buying hot dogs and
ካስተማሮቼ ሁሉም አይነት ነው ከነጭም አለኝ።
Birhanu is proud to have customers from every race.
ሰርቭ ማድረጋቸው ነጮችም
Those are whites and blacks, he says.
ያው እንደምታውቀው እኛም ሰዎች አሉኝ አንዳንዴ የሚመጡት
Among them are also Ethiopians who come every so often.
እሳቸው አንዳንድ ጊዜ
I saw no Ethiopian though when I spent the whole day filming at the stall back in 2000. At over 25,000, the greater Washington area then claimed the highest concentration of Ethiopian immigrants in the U.S.
Commercial?
That's for you.
This is a great guy, a wonderful guy. We all love him very, very much. He's very good to all of us. He's wonderful.
Thank you.
Show back home.
Show 'em, yeah.
This man named BB is one of the greatest friends I have, my wife and I have.
He just takes care of everybody. I know he takes care of me. He's great. Take care of each other.
For Birhanu, this seems to be more than a business to earn a living, a place where friendships are forged, the state of well-being checked.
How are you today?
Hi.
Good. You're so quiet today.
Am I quiet?
You tired?
A little.
And as a token of friendship, a thank you, occasionally in Birhanu's native tongue.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. አመሰግናለሁ too.
for 10 years, and he's been here for 15. He works hard and gets the job done.
What you need? Here you go.
What you ain't talking to me, man?
We don't want to talk to you.
I don't like that.
Huh?
You talking that damn way, I put the dot on your butt, man.
Think of him as one of the people here, part of our whole team.
Meanwhile, Birhanu kept on pushing forward with his business, often by delivering what his customers need, outsmarting any competitor.
Now and then there's another stand that opens on the corner down that way, and you'll see we have a lineup for this one because he works so hard, and that one doesn't get much customers.
This is his permanent location right here. He can never leave.
How long have you known him?
I've only been here since November, and I can say this already. Can you imagine the people who have known him for years? How long have you been here? Everybody knows BB.
BB. That's how Birhanu is affectionately called by his customers. There is always some color in the conversation and a smile.
What's wrong with you, man? I got $1 for you. And give me 20 cents back, please. I guess.
You know, he lives the American dream of coming here and setting.
Or an Ethiopian dream in America.
So you think that you were lucky enough to get into this business early on?
Yeah, that's why it is. I stay here on this business because it's a good corner and good, nice customers I do. So I decided to continue on this kind of business.
Perseverance, and you know, we're all proud of him, proud to know him, and proud to be here. Hi, how are you? What's happening? Yeah, well, anyway, we'll see you later.
Thank you. It's really okay.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun to see.
So kind, I know.
It's not necessarily what it seems, fun.
ያው እንደምታው ብዙውን ጊዜ ጧት ወጥተን
As you can see, often we start in the morning. Birhanu insists.
just 25 cents. ጧት 5 ሰዓት ወጥተን ወደ 3 ሰዓት
I leave home at 11 in the morning and return by 8 or 9 in the evening. That is 9 to 10 hours, 6 days a week, come what may.
Came here and set up a business. He works hard. He's here in the morning before I get here. Usually here when I'm going home.
The business is still great. But we just continue winter, summer, you know, non-stop job we are doing here.
At the time I met him, Birhanu was married 7 years and planning to have a baby. His business was thriving, but in between there was 9/11, wars, and lately COVID. Hard to tell how he was affected by all those.